okay, we were a little bit early. Good evening, people. How are we this evening? Can anybody hear me out there in happy YouTube land? Are we live and kicking? Do we have audio? Excellent, fantastic. Hope it's alright. I've got the mic set to a slightly different setting this evening, as I will be moving about. I shall just bob up and say hello. Just let me drop my keyboard out of the way. Good evening, Minty. Good evening, Derek. Good evening, Alan. Good evening, Tim. Thanks so much for turning up, mate. I know you're awfully busy at the moment, one thing or another. This is me here. Hello, guys. Phone's now going mental. I shall just have to turn that on to silent, because that's going to annoy you. What we're going to do this evening, we're going to have a bit of waffle at the beginning before we get into the unboxing. And then what I'm going to do is, after I've done the live unboxing, I will edit this video and I will put it out as an edited version. Yes, Tim, no, I saw that on your feed the other day. Or was it even today? It just, time flies by at the moment. So yeah, I'm going to do an unedited version for you guys now, because I appreciate you all turning up, and then I will edit it a bit and get rid of all this guff at the beginning, put my front end on it, and then we'll stick it out there for everybody. But this is a big thing for me. A couple of months ago, I'm sure a few of you will be aware, my channel was in real danger of folding. Internet was being a big issue, content was a problem, lack of funds was a problem, one thing or another, and it was getting a bit on top of me. But you guys were absolutely brilliant. Some of you stuck your hands in your pockets and supported me financially. Other people put their hands metaphorically in their pockets and supported me through friendship and through chatting, through Facebook and one thing or another, and have got me out of that bit of a dark time I went through and out the other side. And today is a big day for me, because this turned up. The backstory to this is, and to some of you I know this isn't a big thing, but to me it's massive. The backstory to this is, I was talking to representatives from Geeetech through Facebook Messenger, just chatting, nice and friendly, we get on well, we have the same sort of mindset, and out of the blue one of their people turned around and said, this is after I'd bought the A10, done the unboxing video and done the video of putting the ABL sensor on. One of the guys turned around and just said, we'd like to send you an A10 for you to look at, do an honest review of, and stick it on your channel, because we like what you do. Now that was massive for me, absolutely massive. It was a big thing in my life. It's got to be said. But they gave me a tracking number, and heard no more about it. Contacted them a couple of times, not wanting to be pushy, not wanting to keep going on about it, but contacted a couple of times, and they said, oh well, we don't know where it is, you know, it hasn't started tracking yet. And then all of a sudden today, vehicle turned up with a box. I get lots of boxes through work. There's stuff being delivered all the time. Didn't think a lot of it. Took the box out the van, looked at the name on the front, suddenly realised it was my name rather than the company name, and then looked at where it had come from, and here it is. So I got straight back on Facebook, tried to get hold of the person who I'd been dealing with. Unfortunately, because of the time difference, I don't think they were online anymore, so they've missed my massive thank you. But there will be something in the edited video to say thank you to them, because this is phenomenal. For all of you guys out there that have got small YouTube channels like I have, I mean, another massive thing today is I've managed to just get over the 2,000 subscribers, which is brilliant. I've been pushing and pushing and pushing the last couple of days my videos one way and another, and the series on the Ender 3 has really started to take off, which is brilliant. But for me to be in a situation now that I've got 2,000 subscribers plus, and I've got a company willing to send me a machine free of charge, there's no strings attached to this, there's no we want a decent review, nothing. It's take it, look at it, do a video on it because we like what you do, and give us your feedback. So a massive day and a massive thank you to all of you, because without you guys this would not be happening. Without your support and your friendship, we wouldn't be where we are today. So now I've got all that rubbish out of the way. I was going to say something else then. We might as well, it's gone 7:30. I said 7:30 we would start, so now we'll take a moment's pause so I now know when to edit the video, and then we'll go into the unboxing. So here it is, the A10 from Geeetech. Best way to describe it, it's on a par size wise with the Creality Ender 3. Now everybody knows I'm a big fan of the Ender 3. I have two. As you've seen my modding videos, I want to keep a standard one I mod up. Get some stuff from Tim. Thanks very much, Tim, much appreciated. Do some mods on it. It's turned out really nicely. We've got ABL on it. I've got some other little bits and pieces to put on it thanks to Tim, which we'll do in future videos. Not so much modifications, just more certainly not mods that are going to improve performance or anything, but just a bit of bling and one thing or another. So this is the nearest thing which isn't made by Creality. Geeetech seem to have come a long way in the last sort of 6 months. I must say that they're not without issues. I know some people on here who've got machines that are having issues, but the massive differences between Geeetech and Creality is Geeetech listen, Geeetech respond, Geeetech do stuff. They're so up for helping and trying to get stuff sorted out for you. You know, you've got a problem with something, they're going to ship you the part out straight away to try and fix it. There's a real sense of them wanting to help, and that's a massive thing, which is why I think I get on with them, is because they're so easy to talk to. So what we'll do is, as you can see, I've taped up all my names over the top, although most of you know where I live, but you know, for the sake of the one nutter that's out there, yes, Derek. What I'd like one of my channel admins to do while I am doing this is, if they can go on Amazon for me. I know you're at work, Derek, but I'm sure you can do it. If not, Richard or anybody else who happens to be an admin who's on at the moment. If you can go onto Amazon for me and tell me what the Amazon price is for an A10 at the moment. If they can also tell me what the Amazon price is from the Creality store of the Ender 3, because like I say, that is the nearest thing to it. They are too much of the same, you know, they're the same thing. I mean, you could call this a copy of an Ender 3. I won't, because I don't see it as a copy. I see it as a similar thing. I mean, you can call it a copy if you want, I don't mind. But if somebody can go on for me now, get the prices. So $186.99 from Amazon. That'll be Amazon Prime, I'm sure, Derek. Next day delivery. I don't know whether you can get Ender 3s on Amazon at the moment from the Creality shop. If you can just tell me what they are selling for, and we will make an assumption there that they're going to be fairly similar. I mean, I know my Ender 3s, I got one for £104, and I think the other one was 140 odd. But they were both fairly early in its release. And I know the price has gone up since then, because I know Creality allegedly weren't making a massive amount of money out of it. Ooh, box. You're looking at the A30. Well, don't look at the A30 at the moment, because we're not doing the A30 at the moment, are we, Alan? Come on, catch up. We've done the A30. You can go back and look. No, it's a nice machine. It's not without its issues, as with most things. I have a little issue at the moment. Tim doesn't like the A30, clearly. It has its issues. Derek's having a bit of trouble with his. I'm not having any trouble with mine at the moment, but there are issues. I think it's more a firmware issue. There is talk at the moment about them putting Marlin on it. I don't know whether you've heard that, Tim. But there is a movement in the community to ask them to put Marlin on it, and they are listening, which will be interesting, because if it got Marlin on it, I think it would be a much better machine. The actual physical build of the machine is fine. I think it's more of a firmware issue with stuff that people are having, but we'll wait and see. Like I say, I'm having no issues with mine yet, but you know, there's always a chance. Yeah, that's what they're saying, Tim. There is a big movement, mate, and they are being pushed to put Marlin on it. They say it's the one downfall to it is that it's running their proprietary stuff that they're using. But anyway, back to the unboxing, because we're getting moved off. So in the top of the box we have their usual, very simple, very straightforward set of instructions, which probably won't bother reading, because I tend not to unless I get something wrong. So let's have a look what we get in here. I will, Tim, I will. I'll send you that link. So, box. There we have box. Here we have a bit of a printer. I think I'll have to take this out first. Right, so first thing we notice, still got these ridiculously small, what's the word I'm looking for? Adjustment knobs there. Ridiculously small. I mean, they work, but they are small. You can see the carriage has got the 4 wheels, one of which is not actually touching, so we're going to have to play with that a little bit. You can see there's no plug for the heated bed. That is just directly soldered. There is a metal strain relief bracket on there. That's really loose, actually, is that bed, look. We're going to have to do something with that. The biggest difference I see immediately from, because we are going to compare it to the Ender 3, there's no getting away from it, from the Ender 3 is, you'll remember my videos on this and this cutout and the fact it looked like it had been done with a hacksaw on the Ender 3s, on both of mine. In fact, I had to print a little insert to make it so it didn't cut through the cables. None of those issues here. That is beautifully finished. It looks like it's been cut and then powder coated over the top. So that's a good thing. I know, 4 wheels, I know. I agree with you. It just makes for more trouble than it's worth, Tim, doesn't it? It's got the Geeetech super plate on top. I've seen some reports on the A30 of this plate delaminating from the aluminium bed at the bottom, in the corners at the front. I don't actually personally see a major issue with that, because clearly it's the aluminium that's warping and not the glass, so the glass will still be flat. So I haven't got a major, I mean, it's an issue, yeah, but it's not a major issue, is it, for goodness sake? But looks to be well constructed. Nice, simple, straightforward. Biggest thing with this is, you'll notice there's a USB socket there, but there's no SD card slot here. There's a good reason for that, which we will look at in a moment. But yeah, no SD card slot down there, fiddly at the bottom, like it is on the Ender 3. So we'll put that a bit to one side, unless there's anything Anybody else wants to ask me? No, that's fine. Right, we'll get that over to the side. We'll see what else is in the box. Oh! So we have the Geeetech front panel. There we go. And the most interesting and exciting bit about that is that piece there. That full-size SD card. And in the side of the panel. So no fiddling about on top of the desk trying to slot the thing in like we have to do at the Ender 3. It's a full-size SD card. It's on the side there. Easy access. Not prattling about with micro SD cards. Brilliant. Usual dial. Pushy buttony bitty. There appears to be a little reset button below that. I don't know whether you can see that on the camera. There, look. That, I'm guessing, is a reset button. Yeah, Richard, you're possibly right. It possibly does need a cover on it, but we'll have a look at that when we get it put on. It might not be as much of an issue as it is on the Ender, but we'll have a look. So, that's looking good. So we shall delve a bit deeper into the box of delights. I must apologise for the state of me, the state of my room, and everything. This was completely unplanned. So yeah, we're just playing we're flying by wire at the moment. So we're into the bottom section of the box, which is where the majority of everything seems to be. Well, let's get the power supply out first. I can't read what that says. I'll let you read that, if it'll come into focus. Oh, sorry. Evening, Gus. That's the power supply. I don't know whether that's a cheap one or an expensive one or a good one or a rubbish one, but that's a power supply. As you can see, that's 24 volt, 15 amp. It's got a power switch on it. Oh, sorry, got a power switch on it, which is good. Case. You hear that? That's not 3D printed. That's not moulded plastic. That's metal. So that's good. Voltage switch is already set to 230 volt, which is the only intelligent way to go. I see some YouTubers in America moan saying, come on, you know you're sending this to America, this should be set to 110. But I think out the factory every single one should be set to 230, because if you're in a country that runs on 110 and you plug it in at 230, you're not going to do any damage to your machine. Well, you might do, but you're not likely to. If you have, you can see what I'm saying. If it's set to 230, everybody's safe. I know you have to switch it over, but if it's at 110 for everybody, anybody from the UK or any country that uses 240 volt, they're going to fry it. So have them all set to 230 stroke 240 out the factory and let people use their intelligence to flick the switch. It's the only safe way to do it. So power supply. All looking good so far. I'm sure Tim will be doing loads of spare parts for this. If you haven't checked out Tim's website, he does lots and lots of stuff for lots and lots of machines. He can't put a link in the description. Maybe somebody else could for Tim. Just stick something on for him. Seeing as he's made the effort to turn up, I can't be bothered. The first no-no. The first no-no of the evening. That is of no use to me at all. There is no UK one in there. There is only a European stroke American thing. That can go over there. At a later date I will cut the plug off there and fit a UK 3-pin plug onto it. But that's quite frankly useless. We have the obligatory mouse mat, which Geeetech seem to give away with everything. It's a mouse mat. I haven't used a mouse mat in years. We have a bag of bits, 1 GB SD card, some screws, some bolts, a bit of useless filament, which isn't enough to write my name with, cable ties, spare nozzle, a few Allen keys, a pokey stick for clearing out filament, nuts, bolts, the usual guff. Everything you need and nothing that you don't. There we go. Thank you, Richard. There you are, Tim. It was worth you coming on. Tim sells an awful lot of very good stuff. If you are in America and you need some mods or some, lots and lots of stuff Tim does. Not so good if you live in Europe, is it, Tim? We get people moaning, don't we, about having to pay import duty and one thing or another. Wasn't me. Now, that's interesting. I'll see if I can get that in focus on the camera. That hot end looks a little interesting. Let's see if I can get... Can anybody see what's in there, look? Looks a little interesting, looks a little different. Huh, right, okay. Don't know if anybody's picked this up. The piece on the front here, that is metal, but it's got a piece of paper over it. I actually thought it was acrylic. I thought, oh my goodness, we're going back to the A10 days, and I've got a load of acrylic parts, but they appear to be metal. They have a feel of metal about them, but they do have this anti-scratch stuff on, which I won't take off at the moment. Single rod, which is absolutely fine for a machine of this size. Carriage seems to move nice and smoothly. Belt's already attached. Bit of play on those wheels, well, certainly on that wheel there. We might need to do a little bit of adjustment there, but nothing major. All seems fairly well put together. Just check the nozzle to see if I can see any signs of filament having been through it. And yes, there is the slightest sign of a bit of filament having been through. So it's clearly been tested at some stage, so that's good. Let's have a quick check in the rest of the box. That appears to be completely empty. So we will have that up. And we will have that out of the way. And now we have a semi-clear desk. And we'll attempt to put the machine together. We only have, from the whole of this setup here, we only have one plug. It's got a bit of fluff on it. So that's useful. I mean, alright, we've got to put the end stops in. Yeah, fine. I'm going to sit down now. You'll have to excuse me. I will move the camera. I can't sit down though, can I? Because I've got half the machine on my lap. Like the ceramic tape around the heat block. Yeah, it's all good. It's well made. It's as well made as any machine that uses these extrusion type thing at the moment. There's certainly no major issues I've found with build quality on any Geeetech machine. Excuse me, I'm just going to have a slurp of my beer. Because beer is good for you. Right, and anybody that says otherwise is a liar. Right, so, I'm not going to read the instructions. Because, quite frankly, how many machines have I got now? This is my 7th or 8th. If I can't work out how to put a machine together without having to look at the instructions, I don't deserve to be here. Right, so I've now made some room for my carcass. I shall move the camera down so you can see my ugly mug. Like I say, I must apologise for the state I'm in this evening. I've managed to give my nails a scrape after work, that's about it. Good evening, good afternoon, good night, whoever it is. Oh, it's Alan again. I've already said hello, Alan, I'm sure I have. Nice to see Gus here. Yeah, Tim, looks like the V5 type heatsink with a Mark 8/9 block. It does look that way. I tell you what, Tim, you could either open your box and look at your own, or if you're very, very good, I'll send you some pictures later. But you've got to be good, because otherwise you won't get them. First thing I'm going to have to do is something with that bed. Going to have to do something with that bed. We're going to have to do a bit of tightening up. because that is wibbly wobbly. Yeah, filament. Why do they do this with filament? Really? I'll be amazed if you can print anything with that. It's not big enough for anything. Either put a small reel of filament in or just don't bother. But why put that in? You can't do anything with it. It is one of my little bugbears, and they all do it. I mean, I'm sure Creality used to put a small roll in at one stage. TiVo Flash. You're a lucky swine if you got a TiVo Flash, because TiVo weren't even interested in talking to me. I am not a big enough fish as yet. I see their point. But you know, at least Geeetech, bless them, have seen, or in my case, have thought, give the guy a break. Let's send him a machine, you know. And it is fantastic. I'm not going to go on about it, but you know, more power to their elbow. They stepped up to the plate and said, yeah, go on, we'll give you a go, mate. So I've got a bag of lots of little screws there. I've no idea what they're for. They're possibly spares. You might actually say on it, Geeetech backup screw kit. There you go. So you've got more screws there than you actually ever need to put in it. You only need to put 4 in, and they've provided you with a shed load of extras. Well, apart from the ones for the mount. So shed load of extras, always come in useful. We never say no to extra screws, do we? But what I need is the spanners out of here. No flush cutters. They seem to have stopped. Companies seem to have stopped giving out flush cutters, which is, I don't know, because I always found them useful. That's a mother of a spanner. My goodness, that must be belt tensioner at the front, I think, that one. Oh, that actually could be for the... Oh. Now I'm confused. Yeah, no side cutters, which is... I don't know. I don't know why they don't do it, because I love having my little flush cutters. They come in so useful for other things. So we've got 2 spanners. Got one of that size and one of that size. So, can anybody guess which one we're going to need for these wheels? Hopefully it's one of these 2, otherwise that's another black mark. But let's have a look. Just trying to work out which side. I think it's... Yeah, so the 2 on this side are fixed. The 2 on this side have the concentric nuts on. And I don't think either of these spanners are going to fit. Oh, would you believe it? That spanner does not fit on there. That spanner does not fit on there. Now, how about that for a bit of a fail? I mean, it's not a deal breaker. See if I can get that into shot so you can see. So there's these 2 adjustable nuts down here that you adjust to make sure you get your bed tension right. They provide you with 2 spanners to do it, and neither of them fit. So there's no point turning the screw heads. You have to turn those 2 nuts, and they do not provide a spanner in the kit to do it. Well, that is a bit silly, personally. Like I say, it's certainly not a deal breaker, but come on. You've got something that's adjustable on the machine, and you don't give people the ability to adjust it. So Geeetech, I suggest, and it is only a suggestion, that you make sure you put a spanner in that fits what you're actually doing. So I'm going to lay that like that, and I'm now going to have to root around and try and find a spanner. Bear with me. Talk amongst yourselves, sing a happy tune, something like that. Has anybody seen me spanners? If If anybody's got one to hand, can they chuck it through the screen for me? Because I'm not prepared to be in a situation where I don't have a spanner to fit those nuts. Well, I ask you. This isn't going very well, is it? This isn't the slick video that you've come to know and love. Right, I might have got one here. If not, I've got some needle nose pliers and I'll do it with that. Welcome to the asylum, people. You don't have to be mad to be in this room. It's not a prerequisite. Right, I found a spanner. I don't know who it came from, but I found a spanner. But no, that's definitely a no-no, is that. You've got something that's adjustable, but you don't give us something to adjust it with. That is just a bit on the silly side. That's not so bad. That's got a little bit of wobble still in it. I'll just lay that flat. Because the issue now is the bed square to the rail, which it actually isn't perfectly. So all I'm doing, I'm just adjusting these two wheels, so not only is it tight, well, not tight, but you know what I mean, it doesn't wobble, but I also got to make sure that the bed runs perpendicular to the extrusion, because otherwise it could cause all sorts of silly issues. Right, that looks better, that looks straighter. We've still got a bit of wobble on that. That is more to do with the setup of these four wheels. Your Ender 3's coming. Excellent. Oh, I'm so pleased for you, mate. Have you managed to get it set up yet? 40. Have you got it sorted? Yeah, and I tell you what, Richard, I might be opening its competitor. I didn't have to do this on either of my Ender 3s, did I? I'm using the wrong end of the spanner. Oh dear, it's all going very wrong now. Don't forget to give a thumbs up to the channel if you haven't already, please. All helps. If you are not subscribed and you've come here today, please remember to subscribe. Love to grow this channel more and more and more. Right, we've got bed tight, we've got bed level, we've lost all the wobble off it. We're getting there, so that's good. Yeah, I seem to remember everybody's, well, certainly both of mine, Richard, were perfectly good out of the box. But it's that in itself is a minor issue. The fact that they don't give me a spanner to fit it is a bit annoying. I know I've said that once already, but you know. Right, this thing goes on this thing. You see, I've done this before. That sits on there like that, look. Does it look like a printer now? It does, doesn't it? Looks like a proper printer. So, I've got to find the bolts for that. They're these four here. So there's 4 bolts with spring washers on. Fairly obvious where they're going. Has anybody fallen asleep yet? So yeah, up in about 3 hours. The Z-axis, I think, end stop was being really weird. The bed will be too loose on the front car. Yeah. But, you know, my personal opinion is T for T. Sorry, I must stop doing that. My personal opinion is these things are, I mean, even if they're 90% assembled, allegedly, like this kind of thing is, they are still kits. They are still going to need a little bit of dialing in, a little bit of fiddling with, because that's just how things are. I mean, I'm sure when Tim's machine hits the market, I'm sure we won't have to do any of this. How's the machine going, Tim? Are we Still in early stages of alpha testing, or are we moved on a fair bit? It must be perfect out of the box. Okay. Now, everybody saw him write that. I'm going to hold him to that. So if I can afford one of his machines when they come out, and I do an unboxing, it better be perfect out of the box. And I don't want a cherry-picked one either, mate. There's a challenge. Mind you, I don't think I could afford one, not with all the import duties. You'd have to send it and say it was a packet of Haribo. I can't eat Haribo. She's printing at 0.1 temperature test print. He can't do a screenshot because he... I'll tell you what, Tim, for tonight and tonight only. I know this isn't about you, Tim, but even so, let's just... There we go. Tim, you've got moderator rights. If you have a screenshot or something of your machine, by all means, mate, bang it up there. Let people have a look at it. It's... Just trying to get this bolt in. It's great to see that you're taking on the big boys, mate. So yeah, by all means, stick a picture on, link to a video, whatever you want, because I believe in supporting you because of all you've done for me, mate, and all you've done for the community. I know this is a build of a Geeetech machine, and I won't edit this bit out, but I applaud you for what you're doing, fella. So by all means, get a bit of something on there. There we go. Look, everybody wants to go and have a look. That's Tim building his own machine, and yes, it looks awfully similar to everything else, but that's because it's a tried and tested formula, and if it ain't broke, don't try and fix it. I'm sure, knowing the way Tim works, I know you're just here to hang out, but you know, I appreciate what you do. I appreciate your stuff. And like I was saying, knowing the way Tim works, he wouldn't dare send a machine out that wasn't right. But yeah, if I do get older one, mate, it better be right out the box, because I will do a live unboxing of it, mate. So that's a challenge. Like I said, as long as I can afford the import duty, that's a challenge. But no, it's good to see. Like I say, it's good to see small independents like yourself taking on the big boys, and I hope you find a market for it, mate, and I hope it sells well, and I hope that little bit of diversification you've gone into works out. I'm sure the Marlin will run great on it. I could send it as a gift. Yeah, you could, but I wouldn't want you getting into trouble with any laws or anything in the States. I mean, if you can legally do that, that's fine, mate, but I'm not having you getting any trouble for anything. Right, so, meanwhile, back at the ranch, I don't think I'm going to be keeping this video up, because there's not a lot going on about this printer, really, is there? Right, so there we go. We have it, we have the frame on. Looks fairly good. You know what I'm going to get now. Anybody who's watched my build videos before, one of my favourite tools. Wouldn't go anywhere without that. Let's have a look, see. I know you can't see this, but it's always good for me just to check that we are absolutely perpendicular. And that's pretty damn good. It might be the slightest bit out. It might be, I wouldn't like to say 1/10 of a mil, but that's kind of what I'm looking at. Maybe there's a tiny weeny little gap of light at the top. So that's good at the moment. We'll do a quickie into the corner there. That's square as can be. Yeah, that's as square as can be. They're clearly trying. I'm just going to look at this Z-rod. The stepper motor is set nice and flush. I know when we were building the enders we did have issues with this not being perpendicular. That looks beautifully perpendicular. There's no lean either direction or backwards and forwards. That just seems to be absolutely spot on. Belt tension seems to be alright, so we're now down to right, I'm not going to put the plugs in for the stepper as yet, because I know that guffs and fats about with the screen. So I will do that last. It would appear the Bowden isn't connected, so we'll just quickly push that in to make sure that nut's nice and tight. Again, this horrible cheap piece of plastic on here. Another one of my pet hates. I don't know whether anybody can see. You probably can't see that, can you? Let's see if I can flick it over for the camera. Can you see that now? This thing. Cheap, plastic, nasty. Massive amounts of tension on that spring. That's going to chew through your filament. I might well change that out. I can do that because I got one from somebody, sent me one. Can't remember his name now. I think he might have been on earlier. Anyway, I got a couple from him and I might stick one of those on there instead of that, because they seem quite violent. Stop it. One of my extrusions wouldn't line up perfectly with the bolt holes on the bottom. Drove me up the wall. Yeah, no, I know what you're saying, mate. But we shall overcome. So, we've got a black and a black. So that's fairly straightforward. Can't mess that one up. So we'll have that into there like that. So that's that done. Seems to hang quite nicely over at the back. I know you can't really see that, but it's going to avoid the bed, is that main cable. It's sort of sat itself in such a way that it's nicely away from everything. What have we got here? That's the one for the power supply. I suppose I better think about putting the power supply on at some point, hadn't I? Shall we do that now? It's going to be the same old system. That's going to sit on there. We're going to have 2 screws in from the front. So we might as well bash that on, haven't we? So we'll look at what screws I've got left. In the official kit I've got 2 short and 2 long, so we'll go with the 2 short ones. Unless they are for the... Let me just have a look. No, we're going to go for the 2 long ones, because I think the 2 short ones are going to be for the spool holder. They go through, they don't go too far into the power supply, so I reckon we're fairly safe with that. Hopefully Geeetech have provided an Allen key of the right size. How's it going on the other side of the pond, Matt? Well, we haven't drowned yet. We're doing alright, dude, we're doing alright. We are surviving. Right, so we'll just quickly whack these 2 screws in here, because I'm sure these are the right ones. If they're not, and I happen to go through anything important on the power supply, we'll worry about that later. There isn't, these don't go particularly, oh, they do go a bit particularly deep if you push the screw in far enough. I was about to say there isn't an awful lot of thread came out the other side, but that's more to do with me not pushing it all the way in. And it's very difficult to line up when you're behind it. Note to everybody else, be at the front of the machine when you do this, not at the back. But for the sake of you guys, I'm doing this upside down. I can't do it that way. I'm going to have to turn it around. How's the extruder looking? I don't know. How can I look? I'm building a machine, Tim. Goodness sake, man. Can somebody else look at how his extruder is, please? He's obviously got abandonment issues or something. Somebody tell him his extruder looks nice. Go on, make his day. Oh, do you know, I'm beginning to lose it with this screw. I really am. Right, I've got it in. Fantastic. That is an awfully tight fit, is that? We'll have it in. Let me read the chat. I think you dropped a screw, Matt. I've quite often dropped a screw. Happens a lot. It's an age thing. If they're not loose, they're falling out. If it all falls to bits, can you remember where it went? My goodness, this is going in and going in. Yeah, it's definitely the right screws. Right, so I've got one in. Let's see if I have to move the axis up to get the other. No, that's a good thing. They've left it in such a space that I can actually access that one without having to move anything. So that was a nice way to leave it out the factory. These are just being a bit of a pain to line up. It could just be me being rubbish. But they are being a bit of a pain to line up. What am I missing? Dropped a screw, figured extra 2mm wouldn't make a difference. You guys. So how many have we got watching at the moment then? 14! Wow, that's brilliant. Do I need longer ones? No, I don't think I need longer ones. It is just, I don't know why, they don't seem to perfectly line up. I think, I'll be honest with you, I think it's this stupid blue stuff. This insert stuff is just getting in the way of me getting the screw in the right place, which is really annoying. Because again, this should be a really simple thing to do and should take no time at all. And I've been fanning about with this now for far too long. It could just be me. Like I say, I am not on top form today. I'm only running at about 80%. So I think I've just noticed a part of the problem. If you put the right size Allen key in, you'll find that it actually turns the screw. No, 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 good Lord, Lord, no, no. Now that's my first one, I'm not even halfway through it yet. Now, the issue there was, would anybody like to point it out to me? Come on, somebody out there must have noticed. What did I just do? I just swapped the Allen keys over because I was actually using the wrong size of Allen key. So that was why it wasn't tightening up properly, because it was just spinning. So now hopefully, there we go. So Geeetech, I take it back, it's not your fault. Human error. Too many beers. Ha! Beers on my income, you've got to be kidding. Right, so that's that one done up. That's that one done up. Oi, you keep your hands off my hair, you. It's nice you to spend more than 10 minutes in my room, thank you very much. Normally you bob in, say hello, and go. So it's nice that you're still here, buddy. Appreciate that. There we go, power supply fitted correctly, using the right Allen key, because that's always good. So we'll have that into there like that. That's simple, that's straightforward. So I shall now look at the end stop plugs. We have a small cable tie around those. I could do with a pair of side cutters, but they don't provide side cutters, but it just so happens I have some to hand. So we will snip through there. No beer for you? No, certainly not. Not at your age. Good Lord, child. Right, so what have we got here? We've got Z, we've got Y. Right, I want to try something here. I am a total noob. I do not know which cable goes in where. Are they labelled? I have a cable here which has nothing written on it. I have a cable here which has nothing written on it. I have a cable here that says Y on it. I have a cable here that says Z on it. And I have a cable here that says X on it. So, are they labelled anywhere for the first time builder to identify them? No. So that's not very helpful. Maybe Geeetech put a little sticker on your stepper motors and your end stops so it's glaringly obvious which one goes where. The Z end stop has got a label on it and is in such a way placed that it couldn't really go anywhere else, so that one's a bit of a no-brainer. But fancy having 3 cables come out the back that have got nothing written on them. Again, a little oversight, nothing major, but could cause problems. So what have I got here? Let me see what... I'm going to look at the instructions. I'm going to look at the instructions. See what it tells me. It tells me I've got the piece of paper upside down. Right. Da 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 da. Yeah, da 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 da. So it's saying connect the y-axis, and it is showing a picture of the y-axis, but it's a little bit difficult to understand. What they've done is I'm not quite sure what they've done. It doesn't make a massive deal of sense. If I can get that where you can read what I'm supposed to be doing, that doesn't actually make a massive amount of sense. Well, I know, Tim, but this is the thing. Because these things aren't labelled, you know, what's a man supposed to do? You know, there's all these things here, and nothing tells me that says Z on it, that says Y on it. How do I know which is Y and which is Z looking at that? So, Z-axis. I happen to know where this goes. It happens to go in there. Sorry, I'm misreading. Trial and error. Yeah. Sorry, Z. What Z? Z's dead, baby. Z's dead. There you go. I had to get that in somewhere. I mean, these pictures. No, they're not brilliant. Not brilliant at all. Right, so that to there, that to there, that to there. What have I got here? Yeah, dun 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 dun. Right, this is an end stop cable with nothing written on it, but it's a long one. So if it's a long one, I'm reckoning it must go into there, because that one's got the most amount of travel. Does that make sense? You Britons say Z. Z. No, we say Z. Britons say Z. It's blooming Americans that say Z. Take our language and mess it up. Ridiculous. Right, so this is, although it says X on it, if you didn't know, you could tell that that's clearly a long cable, so it must reach all the way up to there. So you would think, wouldn't you, that that would go in there. But it would still be nicer if everything was labelled, you know, on the stepper motors and on the end stops and on all the cabling, so it was fairly obvious where it was going, because this really is an entry sort of machine, isn't it? And you know, you would hope it was done. Tip for you there, Tim. Make sure, you know, keep things nice and simple for the beginners out there, as there are many of them. A little bit of cable management. I'm just going to move that under there. I just had the Y stepper motor cable going over the top of the heated bed cable, and I could see that being an issue, so I have moved that like so. So that's back in. So pretty much, guys, apart from putting the I've got to put the screen on, haven't I? Now then, I've seen some interesting things with this. Let me read. Who's lagging? No, I've not got a drop frame, I don't think. Can anybody tell me if I'm dropping frames? No, according to me, I am streaming beautifully. Thank you, Richard. Yes, language please, people. We don't want anything, any crudities on here. This is not the channel for that. You want to say things like that, you go on Country Club. Or you listen to Tim late at night. That's the other thing to do. Right, let me have a look at that. Trying to get the screen on, right? You tell me. Oh, you can't really see that, can you? Let me put it on that one. Screen. Can you see the picture for the screen? Can you tell me the orientation for that screen to get that cable the right way around? Because I can't. It's going to be a guess. So they've got the SD card reader that side. So that's like that, that's like that. So it's blue to the top. So what it's saying is it wants to be that way. So blue to the top and up from the bottom like that. Which makes sense, I suppose, when you think about how these ribbon cables work. And then shut the little black bar down. That should hold that in place. And then we just need to screw that onto there with the two screws that are left. See, that's what they're for. D screws. Yeah, So Tim, has this inspired you to get your machine out and throw it at the wall? Children, can we stop that, please? Otherwise people will be ejected from the room. Do not want language like that on my channel, please. That is not what we're here for. Bit of friendly banter is fine. Nothing more on my channel. Thank you very much. Respect what I want. Or go somewhere else. Right, let me see if I can get this bolt in here. Oh, I've just managed to pull the ribbon cable back out. That wasn't very intelligent. Right, they will go in there. Let me get this ribbon cable back in properly. Oh, do you know I can't get this damn thing in here. Arrgh. You know, this is really faffy. To say this is supposed to be almost built, I am struggling with this tonight. I mean, I must admit, I am not on the best of mindsets at the moment after a long hard day, but geez, I am struggling. And I don't know whether it's me. But I am really struggling to get that into the end of there. Maybe today was not the day to build this. Maybe I got overly excited. Maybe I should be more like other people that keep them for 2 years before they even think about building them. Because he's not doing well. See if it works without the screen holder. I'm sure it would. But I'm determined to get the damn thing in now. Got to keep calm though. Can't get annoyed with it. That's when you really mess things up. I know from experience, as I'm sure most of you do as well. If you lose your rag with it, that's when it all goes terribly Pete Tong. We don't want that. I don't think it's me. I think these screws are so tight on tolerance that unless I get it absolutely lined up, I might have to cut to a commercial break in a minute while I do this. You go and watch some adverts and then come back and it'll magically be done. I might be bleeding and there might be a hammer on the floor, but it'll be done. I'm not giving in. It's not in my nature. Anybody know any jokes? Clean ones? Come on, words of encouragement, guys. Come on. Turning into a little stressed Eric here. These are ridiculous. Or I'm ridiculous. Right, I've got those to bite. Let me check I've got them. They don't appear to be in straight. It looks like they're binding, going sideways, doing everything apart from what they should do. Well, I would think they were pre-tight. I tell you what I'm going to do. I know you can't see any of this and you can just see me struggling. I'm going to take the display to one side and I'm actually going to look at these two holes and see if I can turn these bolts in and get them, run them in a bit and get them to seat and then run them back out and put them on, because they are absolutely, you can see the strain I'm having to get those to turn, and they're not going in square, they're cross threading. They will not spin in square. Right, I've got that one something like square. Let's just see if it'll running. My goodness. I'm going to look and see if they're pre-tapped in a minute. Why are people getting trouble with buffering? I have got no issues with buffering at this end. I'm sorry if you're having trouble, but I have got no dropped frames whatsoever. I am 100% here. So if you're having trouble with buffering, I'm really sorry, but it is beyond my control. It might be that it's because we have so many people watching and YouTube isn't used to me having more than about 4 people watching. So that could be the issue. These... Let me get my phone. Let me put my battery, my torch on. Right, they're not pre-tapped, those holes in that extrusion. Absolutely nothing. So that could be one reason why I'm having such difficulty getting them in, is that they're not pre-tapped, and I haven't got my tap and die set to hand. So that's not very helpful, is it? I am now tapping them as we go along. I mean, it might just be an oversight on mine. I'm not saying they're all going to be like this. But no, there's definitely no tap on there. I am having to use all my manly strength to get those to go in. And then, of course, I've realised why. Possibly. Just bear with me. This, again, could be a complete human error. And I might need to look at the instructions. Again, you could all start laughing at me. I've just had an interesting think. No, it's got to go in the front of there. I did actually wonder for a moment if there were T-nuts to go to slide them on, but they're not. This is exactly how it's supposed to fit. They're supposed to screw into the end of this extrusion. Oh. Well, guys. Oh. This I am not enjoying. This I am really not enjoying. I hope, Geeetech, that this is just an issue with mine and that everybody else's extruder is indeed threaded, because mine very clearly isn't, and that is a little bit of a letdown, really. I mean, it's clearly threaded on the other side where the control box is, but I am actually putting a thread on that, believe it or not. Oh, guys, do you know, this isn't supposed to happen. This is all supposed to be just real smooth, but it happens to the best of us. I've seen the big boys have issues, and they don't give up, so I'm not going to give up. We're going to work through this. I don't have my tap and die set to hand. It's a 5-minute walk away. I'm not going to leave you guys standing for 5 minutes while I go and find it. I'm going to persevere. Man, that's hard in there. Jeez Louise. No, they're not threaded either. Neither extrusions are threaded. I've looked at all Gus, they're all just blank, unthreaded extrusions. So I am going to struggle. But I am not going to give in, because I want to get this thing fired up. I'm just wondering what I've got to hand. I don't think I've got anything. Just bear with me, guys. We could be going for serious overkill here. Could be going for serious overkill. Got to find the smaller fitting. Can you hear that? You've not been 15 minutes. Right, that's definitely threaded as that one. This one on the other hand is doing nothing, so I'll get it started in here and then I'll get the big boy on it and we'll get it cut in. So Geeetech will be getting some feedback from me tomorrow. Again, I do thank them massively for supplying this machine free of charge. I think it's a massive step forward for me, certainly, and it is just a pity that somewhere in the process they haven't managed to tap these two nuts, bolts even. Put that down to at worst quality control, but it's not the end of the world for me. But if you were buying this kit first up and this happened, you wouldn't be overly impressed, would you? Right, let's see if I just can't get this to bite. To move it a bit closer to the edge of the desk. You never expected to see a ratchet of this size on a build, did you? This is going a bit full on. Okay. We are cutting threads, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry if this noise is really disturbing. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, Gary. But we seem to be doing alright at the minute. Of course, the other issue is rounding the nut off, which I've just about done. Like I say, we shall overcome. This is what we do. Yeah, I love this 3D printing malarkey, if I ever get a chance to do it. Ah! What are we saying here now? Use the spare. I have got a tap tool, it's just not here. It's 10-minute walk away. I've now got that stuck in there. That is just getting a bit silly now. Bear with me, guys. Sorry. Don't you just love live streams? If anybody wants to throw £1 million my direction just for the comedy value, by all means do so. Because I tell you what, I think I've just aged about 5 years. I really do. Oh, for goodness sake, nothing to hand when you need it. Nothing like being prepared, and this is nothing like it. Tell you what, guys. I could get the big boys on it. Do you think that would help? I got that on it. Just for comedy value. Hey Dom, we're just having major surgery at the moment, Dom. We are having issues and I have no tools, which is the biggest issue. That's loosening. Still be happy with something smaller. Oh, for the love of goodness. This is where I need a jump cut. Right, I'm clutching at straws a bit now, guys. I've got absolutely nothing to hand of the right size. Oh man, I've got it to turn. She's coming out, but she's not going to go back in this one. Aye, aye, aye. What do we do, guys? What do we do? Well, I hope the comedy value is good for everyone. I really do. Yes, I do not have a spare part bag, but it doesn't help if the darn extrusion isn't threaded. I can have as many spare parts as I like. They don't have a spray tapped extrusion, do they? Do you know what? I reckon that 10-minute walk would have been a lot easier. Apart from anything else, I might have cooled down a bit. Because at the moment, I'm overheating. Right, that's got that one out of there. Let's have a look what's in the spare parts bag. Nothing of that size, I don't think. There are some spares actually. I'll tell you what we might do. We might go with what we've got. I've put a spring washer on the front of it to pack it out a little. I shouldn't have to be doing this though, should I really? This is not what it's about. I don't want to get another one stuck, do I? Where's my ratchet gone? Okay, we're getting somewhere, guys. We are actually getting somewhere. Using a spare. This is part of the fun. It really isn't fun. Like I say, it's not so bad for me because I can overcome. But if this is your first ever 3D printer and you get to put this front plate on and they forgot to tap the extrusions, it's a bit of a bugger, really. I mean, we'll probably read in the description somewhere that this is entirely wrong way of doing it. But I don't think it is. I think they have just failed to tap these extrusions. But I appreciate that some of you have stayed with me over this somewhat annoying period of time. I do appreciate it. Because I'm sure this is as boring as hell for you guys at the moment. I mean, I must admit, I'm not particularly enjoying it. But hey, you know. What else would you be doing on a Thursday night? I know Richard would be watching a film with the family. Derek's at work. Tim's working. So, you know, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your support in this journey I'm going on. Don't snap. Don't snap. Don't snap. It's a mantra we all have to say together. Don't snap. Don't snap. We're nearly there. Yes, I do have a tap set, Tim, but it's not here. It's a 10-minute walk away, which would mean you guys had nothing to do for 10 minutes while I went wandering off, and that's not a good live stream. So we are making do. I'm sorry, am I swearing saying work? Sorry, guys. Right. We have it on. Hooray! Big cheer, everybody! Woo! Sorry, I'm clearly now going stir crazy. So we now have it on the front. There we go. Complete with reset button. So. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Thank you guys, thank you. I appreciate your patience in this matter. If it has been as boring for you as it's been for me for the last 20 minutes, I really apologise. I will be speaking to Geeetech tomorrow. I will be explaining that, quite frankly, my live build was ruined. Ruined, I tell you. By the fact that the front extrusion was not tapped to take the screen. They need to check their machines before they send them out to make sure this doesn't happen to anybody else. Which way around do they put the... Now I see something else. There is nothing on there that tells me where the spool holder goes, which way around to put it. So we can have a guess. They're on T-nuts, the spool holders, so we'll have it dropped in like that. Get these little T's tightened up. Oh my goodness, look who's in the house, everybody! 3D Maker Noob, good evening my friend, thank you so much for joining. We have just had a wee issue. The front extruder was not tapped up to take the control panel, so I've been learning from you and I've managed to fudge my way through it. Much to the delight of everybody. We've nearly had some swear words, but I managed to behave myself. But very nice to see you in the room. You're ever so very welcome, my friend. Awfully nice to see you. An awful lot of your subscribers already in here, I am sure. Yeah, it's good to have you here, buddy. There you are, you see guys, I was saying earlier that I've made it. I've got Joe to come into my live build. My life is now complete. I can think of nothing more I would want in the world except to maybe have that extrusion actually tapped properly. So, we are at the stage now. We've got the spool holder to bang on. It's probably not in the right place. But like I say, it's not written down anywhere. No, very true, Joe, very true. It's a matter of mend and make do in some cases. The A-team taught me a lot. So there we go, we've got that on. So we're basically, you've come in at the stage, Joe, where we're about to power up. I think most people are expecting it to explode, by the way I've been putting it together. But I'm kind of hoping it's not all going to be magic smoke. What I will do is, I will drop the camera that we're using. Sorry if anybody feels seasick at the moment. But we're just going to drop this down. Like so. So we get a better shot of what we're actually doing. Okay, is that good for you guys? Can we see alright? Right, so we're going to peel the cover off the bed. Oh, it's that moment, everyone. Oh, right, if anybody needs to go and clean up, now's the time to do it. We've got one more to do, which is the little one on the front panel. If I can get my finger to it. Are you ready, everyone? And it's off. So there we go. We think we've got everything plugged in. We know the power supply is set to 220 volts. And we will do that. Okay, we have power, we have screen. We are ready to rock and roll. How about that, guys? She's powered up. So, no filament sensor on here. Of course, no auto bed leveling either. There is the plate on the top of the stepper motor here has actually got the same threaded hole as the A30 has, so there's room to fit a sensor for the filament. Whether the cabling is inside to do it or not, I don't know, but there's certainly room. I haven't got that sat level on the desk, I am sorry. There certainly is room to do it. But what we'll do is we'll get the bed up to temperature, we'll do a quick level, and we'll take it from there. So I'll have a quick look at the chat, see what's going on. Yes, there is a switch on the power supply, Alan, but me being me and in the mood I'm in at the moment, I didn't switch it off. I just plugged it straight in like a true nutter. So here we go, we're up and running. I'll try and get myself around to the front. I'm going to drop this a little bit more so you can get a bit of a closer look. I'm sorry for the wobbles, but this is what happens with a live build. So first impressions, we were doing alright until the fact that the adjustable nuts on the build plate, there is no spanner to fit them in the kit, so I had to find something else to tighten those up. And then of course the extrusion that the display goes on was not threaded, so I've had to force the 2 screws in to do that, which is not the ideal world. I'm sure it is just a little bit of quality control that needs dealing with, but it's a bit of a beggar. Right, so straightforward menu system, same as we've seen a million times before. There's a set home offsets there, there's a preheat, we've got everything there. Switch power off, interesting. Can we just try that? So that's a reset. Simple, straightforward. Right, let's just try an auto home, see what happens. I'm going to have to trust myself with the build plate. I'm looking at the micro switch to the extrusion, to the metal plate, and it looks like we're going to be fine. So we'll go for a quick auto home and see what happens. It's probably just the camera skew, but we will check it, seeing as you've asked so nicely, Joe. Although actually, no, you could be right, my friend. That could be slightly askew. We seem to be heading uphill slightly there, don't we? We are going to struggle to measure it at the moment. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's get that sorted. Oh no, I'm doing the wrong thing, aren't I? Get the Z-axis up a bit. Get the build plate to there, and then I will just move the X-axis across. Right, now I've got my 2 small pieces of extrusion that I got with the A30. So what we'll do is, we'll use those to give it a check. Yeah, it's oh my goodness. Yes. Everybody in the room, 3D printing nerd. Oh my goodness. I think I've died and gone to heaven, guys. Yeah, it is a very, very pronounced click. Very, very pronounced. So we're just gonna bring this down, as Joe pointed out, that we didn't think we were 100% level. And of course the Z end stop has hit, Those extrusions aren't long enough. Right, we're going to go for plan B, everybody. Out with a T-square. High five. My goodness. We've got everybody in the house today, guys. This is very nice to see. This is what I like about the 3D printing community. It don't matter how big or small you are, we're all just as interested in watching people make a mistake. And I've done plenty of those so far this evening. So, okay, we'll go for it this way, guys. And after all that, Joe, that is absolutely perfectly level, but we did right to check. We absolutely did right to check. So, we will auto home again. Seems fairly quiet. The fan is very noisy on the control box, but overall it's not particularly noisy. I've heard a lot worse. We'll get the bed heated and we'll do a manual bed level, and then we'll see what's on the SD card, and we might even try printing something. So temperature, so I like to set the bed to about 60 degrees when I do a level. It's just 60-65 is somewhere in between norms for me. Right, we should disable the steppers. Seems quite nicely laid out, this. Go back to the main and watch that temp go up. I told you it was warm in here. Look, we're up to 40 degrees already. That's quite quick, actually. Right, these knobs are absolutely minute, but we'll make it work. Just excuse me while I come around here a moment. Let's have a quick catch up with the chat. Oh, sorry Tim, I didn't realise you'd gone, mate, but thanks for coming back. Appreciate that. Didn't scratch the bed. No, but when you've put 7 or 8 machines together like I've done now, you the piece of paper is actually the list of what comes in the A30. So you see, they do have their uses. I do not like these little screws though. These little bed leveling screws are an absolute nightmare. Yeah, Joel, I haven't watched that video yet. I'm terribly sorry, mate. It came up on my feed while I was working and I was in such a rush to play with this little thing that I haven't watched it. It's very remiss of me, I know, and I will get around to it. I promise you. Okay, so that's looking fairly good. Of course, we will check the middle of the bed once we've done the 4 corners, just to see if there's any serious warpage going on. man, these little fiddly things. Does it have the option for auto bed leveling? I honestly don't know at this stage. I haven't looked. Oh, do you know, that's not too bad, guys. That's not too bad at all. There is a little bit of resistance still in the middle of that bed, so it's not so bad. It seems to be fairly level, which is always good. Right, so grab some filament. Grab some filament. What are we going to use? What are we going to use? What have I got to hand? I've got some Geeetech filament to hand. There we go. That would be the perfect thing to try on a Geeetech machine. So we've got a roll of purple, which you can't see at the moment, but you will do in a minute. This is Geeetech Purple PLA. Feed that up through the Bowden into the hot end, like so. Right, let's find the SD card. I said let's find, there's the SD card. Like I say, the good thing about this is full-size SD card, which is brilliant. Not a silly slot down here that you fiddle to get your fingers into. We have actually got the ability, it's on the side of the screen. You watch me get it in the wrong way around. This is not easy to do from this position. Right, so it goes in upside down. It says card inserted. Let's see what's on the SD card. Oh, oh, it's the dog. Right, well, we'll make a start with the dog. I can tell you what it looks like. Hang on, let's do a jump cut. There we go, printed, fantastic. It's come out really well, as you can see. Beautiful, beautiful print, lovely. No, I'm joking. That was on the A30. It's on the SD card of the A30, and I've already printed it. So there you go. But we'll make a start. We'll just see how it lays down the first layer, and then I haven't got anything prepared slicer wise, so we're just going to wait and watch it heat up, see how long it takes. It's taken the bed to 50 degrees and it reckons the printing temp is 210. So that's what it's got to expect. Poor Tim. He keeps stepping out the room, so I wouldn't worry about it. Anybody got any questions? Anything they'd like me to quickly look at while we're doing this? Anything you want me to know about? Print warp speed. Gus, calm yourself. It was a trick. It was a trick. I mean, apart from the couple of little hiccups we had with the fact that that extrusion was not tapped, which is a bit of a no-no really, and the fact that they do not provide a spanner in the kit that fits the adjustable nuts underneath the build plate. Apart from that, it's not been so bad to put together. The build quality looks fairly good. But we'll just have to wait and see. The proof of the pudding is in the heating, as they say. So we've hit 210, we've hit 50 on the bed. We're going to see if she's going to crank up now. She's just, oh my goodness, that moved at a rate of knots. Right, I should have primed the nozzle maybe, because I've got nothing coming out of the nozzle yet. That could be my bad. We might need to restart again. Here we go, it's coming through now, so I'm going to need to restart this, I think. I didn't prime the nozzle. Entirely my fault. So we will just, but it's going at a rate of knots and not too loud either. So we'll just quickly go back to there, go back to there. Now I've got the nozzle primed, we should be a lot quicker. Again, thanks very much for watching, guys. If you aren't subbed, please do. If you haven't hit that like button, please hit that like button. It all helps with the future. Okay, I should have picked that up as well. Here we go. That's printing at a fairly rapid rate of knots. It's a smaller dog. You'll be glad to hear, everybody, it's a smaller dog. You can see that layer going in. We will try and get this camera right down. There we go. Look, there's the first layer going down. That does not look too shabby. I think maybe I'm a little bit high. Yes, Richard, oven door material again. Yeah, absolutely. That is what this glass bed reminds me of. It just reminds me of the front of an oven door. I don't know whether it's the same in the States, but certainly in the UK, they all look like this, and that's kind of what it reminds me of. But yeah, it's printing. It's not overly noisy. The biggest thing is the fan on the control box. That's the largest noise at the moment. We're looking to maybe changing that out in a future video, doing a few alterations to stuff. We are going to put it head to head with the Ender 3 at some point. We've got to. It's got to be done. But yeah, no, it's printing, and it's printing fine. That's good. We will leave that running. I don't think we're probably going to stay on until that's fully printed, but I will be putting the finished print onto Twitter, so you can have a look at that. Sorry, I'll just get myself back in shot because I know you're missing seeing me. So let's have a quick look at the questions. I'm sorry I haven't been watching them. It is terribly remiss of me, but you know, got a little bit hectic there at one point. Did I get the BQ printers working for the school? I haven't gone any further with those yet than what we saw the other day. I can only see that the issues that there were with them were basically just the bed leveling, which is a little bit tricky on those little magicians. And I honestly think what the people have done is they have just given up, and they've just packed them up, sent them back, got their refunds, and it's quite sad because it would appear there's nothing wrong with the machines themselves. When we come to power them up and do them a test, I will be doing that live, so we'll go through it together, guys, and we'll see if we can get them up and running. Like I say, I expect another one to turn up at some point. It's coming from a different distributor, but BQ did say they were sending me 3, and if we can get them up and running, the school knows they could well be coming, and then in September when the school reopens, the technology department are expecting a phone call from me, and I will take them up, and it just means there's some 3D printers into the school for the kids to do some stuff on, and hopefully get some people into 3D printing. That's what it's all about. BQ have provided these machines free of charge, and if there's any little issues, I'll foot the bill for those, get them sorted out, and then we'll get some printers into the school, because that's what it's all about. But at the moment it just looks like it was an issue with the bed leveling and people just gave up. And that is one of the issues with being able to return stuff so easily, is that this is what happens. People just lose interest, or can't figure something out. So a perfectly good machine goes back to the distributor. It's not it's not cost effective enough for the manufacturer back in China to receive those printers back, because of the shipping and one thing or another, and they become second-hand printers, so they just get destroyed. So BQ, bless them, I reached out to them and said, let's do something with them, let's get something positive out of this. They've shipped them to me. If I can get them to work and I can get them into the school, brilliant. If it works and it works out nicely, I'd like to do some for the local scout group, something like that, and just get 3D printing out there, get it out to a young audience, and hopefully help them out. So that's the plan. That's where we are with that. This machine, I tell you what, that first layer is very, very good. I know it's printing something that's on the SD card, therefore it's been tuned to perfection to print, but it's going down very well. It's a very good clean print. We've been on 2 hours 48 minutes. We've done quite a lot in that 2 hours 48 minutes. I've certainly done a lot of sweating. But we're doing good. Unless anybody has got anything else they would like me to do. I can't do a filament out check because we haven't got one. I can't do a power recovery. I don't actually know whether this has got a power recovery. Can anybody tell me? Somebody look and see whether it's got one or not. Because if it has, we will try it. But I'm not going to try it if it doesn't got one. Does the accent help? Whereabouts in the UK am I? I am in Yorkshire. So I'm sort of northeast coast. So if you're looking at a map of England, sorry, I'm not really talking at the camera, am I? If you're looking at a map of England like that, I'm halfway up on the right hand side, up on the coast there, just a little bit in from the coast. But I haven't got a typical Yorkshire accent because I was born in London, so a lot of my accent comes from there, but there we go. So I'm just reading through the comments. Matt Guyver. Oh, Gus, you're a star, mate. You're an absolute star. Right, so unless anybody has anything else they wish to get me to check, if anybody's found out whether it's got power resume function or not, I have honestly no idea. I haven't checked. It doesn't appear to tell me anything on here whether it has or it hasn't. I should really have looked that up before I started it. Can't see that it does. No, I can't see that it does either. I would hate to ruin my first print just by checking it. We will do that in another video, guys. There will be a lot more to come. Like I say, we're going to have to do a shoot-off, aren't we? Between this and the Ender. See if I can get a decent profile set up for this on S3D. Get something printed on the Ender, get something printed on this. See how it matches up. But first thoughts of having it out of a box for less than 3 hours, apart from those couple of issues which are really down to quality control more than anything. Well, one of them is quality control. Those two untapped threads on the extrusion is a quality control issue which they need to sort out. I will speak to them tomorrow about that. The other issue was not having the right size spanner to alter those nuts. That is an oversight. That is something that they just need to sort out, and I will speak to them about that tomorrow. And I'm sure it might be that maybe I was a spanner short in the set. I didn't check what I was supposed to have, but it could be I was actually a spanner short in the set, but I doubt it. I will have a look. No, it's only showing 2 spanners in the toolkit, so that spanner is no good for anything. I'm not quite sure what that's doing in there, to be honest with you. I can't see anything on this machine that will require a spanner of that size. So Speak to them tomorrow about those. Hopefully they can get those sorted out. So yeah, -5 certainly, Gus. That's a fair comment. Everything else on it, build quality looks good. Yeah, wiring is fine. I would still suggest that they label all the end stops and the extruders and all the cables, so you don't need to look at anything to work out where it is. Alright Joe, thanks so much for joining, mate. Do appreciate it. It's always good to see you. I was speaking a few days ago and I did say to people, he does watch, he does hide in the background. I know he's out there. Thanks so much for coming in and saying hi. Do appreciate it, mate. You do a wonderful job. It's guys like you that inspired me to get up and do stuff like this. So cheers, dude. Take care. Enjoy your family time and we'll speak soon. Alright guys, I'm going to leave it at that. It's been wonderful this evening. We've had such fun. I will edit this and we will get this out for the world to see. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Do not forget to like. Do not forget to leave a comment. If you aren't subscribed, please do subscribe. That helps massively. If you want to support the channel, there is a link to Patreon. There is a link to Streamlabs. You know, any money that you give me goes back into this, goes back into helping the schools with their stuff, and it just, you know, it doesn't all go on beer, I promise you. Just a very small amount. Just Richard's Patreon actually just goes on the wife's gin. Everything else goes back into the channel and back into helping other people. So thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you soon. Take care. Remember what I always say while I try and get the arrow over the end stream button is, you know, look after yourselves, look after each other, but remember there is more to life than 3D printing. Not a lot, but there is more to life than 3D printing. Thanks guys for watching. We'll catch you again soon. Bye bye now.